Well, hey friends, this is Jill. Thank you so much for joining me for this really short video. I wanted to share my painting kit with you that I'm going to have out in the field during our sessions with the Yellowstone Watercolor Expedition. I want you to be able to kind of view this, and maybe it will give you some ideas on ways to pare down your kit if you're needing help in that area, because really our main objective is to have a small kit that's easy, light, portable, all of those good things, so that we're really engaging and enjoying our time outside without being too burdened by our kit and our supplies. Okay, all right, so let's take a look real quick at how I've got my setup here. So I have just a lightweight, just small daytime backpack, and you can see I've got, here's the straps on the back, and on the front I have got a board sort of secured through some straps on the front. And I'm going to open up my bag just so that you can see everything that I've got with me. I will also have a water bottle with me, and I will also, I have my water bottle in a shoulder sling. I usually carry it in a shoulder sling just to make it easier, accessible throughout the day. And that is my drinking water, and it's also my painting water. So I've just got the one container for the water. Makes it a little easier. Okay, so let's unpack the pack and see what's in here. So I start out with a foundation of a piece of gator board. Okay, this is about 12 by 16-ish, something like that. And you might have something completely different. You might have a wooden board, you might have a clipboard, whatever it is that you have. Having some type of mounting board as a foundation for your outdoor kit is really, really helpful, and you're about to see why. All right, so I'm going to set this to the side, and I'm going to show you everything that's in my pack, and also how I set it all up to actually paint with it once I'm outside. So I have this is actually solvent cups for oil painters. Make sure that your water container is something small. It does not need to be a big giant quart jar or anything like that. Those things are very helpful in the studio, but outside we want to minimize and reduce the scale of everything so that we're working very light. And you don't need a lot of water when you're painting, especially if you're working in a sketchbook. You want to make sure that your drying time is reduced, all that kind of thing. You really don't need a whole lot of water. So some solvent cups. I have a couple of, these are called spring clips. Okay, this style I particularly like for my particular setup, and I'll show you how that comes together in just a little bit. So got the two clips there. I also I carry my brushes and my pencil wrapped in my towel. This is actually just a washcloth that I have used many times over and over. So that way I've got a towel that's on hand, and then I'm only using two brushes in the field. I have a larger, this is sort of a Chinese calligraphy brush, and I don't typically use this in the studio that much, but I like to use it outside because it delivers a fair amount of water, gives me a nice point when this brush is wet, but it doesn't deliver too much that I'm oversaturating my paper and concerned with drying time, and it really helps. And then my second brush is a 1/4 inch Princeton dagger. And I really like using the dagger brush because it gives me that fine point, when it's wet, for all those little grasses and stems and that type of thing. But the belly of the brush is big enough that it carries a nice load of water and pigment when I want to cover over some areas. So it kind of almost behaves like a number 6 round watercolor brush. It's really handy for that. And then also a pencil. So I have those things. I have my palette. I use just a 18 well palette. This is actually my teaching palette because it fits nicely on the screen when I'm doing painting videos, but it's really handy in the field because it is so lightweight, portable, all of those good things. So I have my palette. I also have a spritz bottle with me. I carry this with me. It stays in my pack most of the time, but I use it for cleanup. It's a good way to spritz my hands off. I can also spritz my palette when I get, my mixing area really full of whatever and I'm ready to clean that out. And I can just sort of spritz that and wipe that away, and it's a nice, easy cleanup. Also, the last thing I have in here is my sketchbook. So this is my, oh, I forgot. I do actually have a little ruler in here. I'll get into why I have that. That is totally optional. That's just sort of something that I like to have. So I have my Stillman and Burn sketchbook. You're welcome to use whatever sketchbook or paper that you want. I do recommend using a sketchbook. Even if it has watercolor paper in it, it's okay, but sort of fiddling with loose sheets out in the field, it gets a little hectic, and it is windy. You could have sheets blowing around and lose things, or it can just get a little bit complicated. So having something that's bound really does make it helpful. And then that's all that's in my pack. So I'm going to put my pack away for just a second. And then let's put together the whole kit and show you how this actually comes together to become something that is very helpful when we're working outside. So I start with my gator board. All right, so regardless of what board you have, whatever your mounting board is, whatever you traditionally mount your paper to in the studio, that might be a good thing to bring with you. That becomes sort of your foundation. That's what I'm using as a foundation for getting my whole painting kit together. Then I take my sketchbook, and I'll go ahead and open this up to, let's find a clean page here so that it looks like I'm ready to go to work. All right, so I'll get to a clean page on my sketchbook, and even though this is a vertical orientation, a portrait orientation sketchbook, I typically work horizontal in most cases, and so you can do this however you want. But I will typically put my sketchbook on here sideways. I get one of my clips and fasten that to my board, and so now my sketchbook is completely fastened, does not move, the wind's not going to blow it away, all of that good stuff. Then I take my palette over on the other side of my board. I use my other spring clip that I have here to attach this, and it's just pretty much like that. So now both pieces are attached. You see where this is going. Everything is going to be in a fixed, singular place so that I can stand with this, I can sit with it, I can kind of do whatever I would like to. For my water cups, I actually have a magnet that I've secured to the back side, to the underside of this, as well as to the inside of my palette, so that clicks on there, and that way I don't have any slipping around. My water container is not moving, it's not going anywhere, and then I can take my water and fill up both of my wells, or one of them, however, whatever your water container looks like. It doesn't take a lot of water, as we talked about, and then I just usually take my towel. It's folded usually in thirds, kind of like this, and I will often just sort of have it sitting here. And then for my brushes and my pencil, they wind up in a combination of things. Sometimes they sort of end up in this orientation so that when I'm standing and even tilting the board, these items are not rolling around. Sometimes they might actually get situated in such a way where they're sort of wedged in my palette so that they're not moving. And all of these things are just now, they're fixed and they're not moving. So you can see I can take my hand, and I usually put it right here, and then this side that's closest to me, this usually I just press this up against my hip or my stomach, whatever the case may be. If I'm sitting down, this whole thing just sits on my lap really comfortably. And then depending on where we're painting, if there's a guardrail or a handrail or something like that, and I'm not in the way of other people on the trail, I can actually sort of just rest the board against a handrail, which is kind of nice, and continue working. Okay, so I hope this is really helpful for you in allowing you to see how small the kit actually has to be to accomplish a wide variety of paintings outdoors. It really keeps things simple, it keeps things small scale, and there's not a lot to keep up with. It's lighter, it's easier, it's efficient, it's all the good things, and that's really what's important, because we want to enjoy everything that's going on outside and not being so overwhelmed and overloaded with all of our stuff. Okay, all right, so just real quick, I'll show you about the ruler. I do have a little plastic ruler that I carry with me, And that's just totally optional. I like having a ruler in case I do have to make a really nice horizontal line. And then I also use it to sort of give a nice little pencil outline to my finished paintings. It just sort of finishes it off. It's kind of like the idea of, you know, getting to put a mat on it or just some little outline. And I will also have opportunities, you know, where I've painted three different things on location from within the same area and created a little grouping, and then I'll put an outline around them. That's just a preference. It's not something that you have to do, but if you think you like having a straight edge, just put a little lightweight plastic ruler into your kit, and that'll be handy to have as well. So let me show you how this all goes back into my bag, because it is kind of nice to see how it all kind of gets packed back up and goes back in there. So the first thing I do is I make sure that my palette, I usually dry it off or at least wipe it down a little bit and get that closed up. Then I take my towel, whatever towel you have, and I like to actually roll up my brushes and pencil in there, remembering that this was the butt end of all of my brushes, so that I can fold that over, and then that becomes sort of the bottom, and I can sort of stick that in my bag. All right, so let's get the bag out here. And I haven't really timed myself, but I think it just takes, you know, about a minute, you know, or something, to kind of get all of these things back into the bag, or even to get them out of the bag. And that's really an important thing too in terms of setup. If you're taking 45 minutes to set up, you can kind of waste a lot of painting time just because you've got a kit that's a little bit too big. And that's it. Everything is back in my bag. And then I take my board and I have it secured to the outside of my pouch here, because it doesn't go inside the bag. Yours might, and that's fine too, but this is kind of how I've worked out mine. And then I'm ready to go, and that's it. And I can just go from one location to the next. Very lightweight, very efficient. So your kit does not have to look exactly like this. I just wanted to show it to you so that you know the value of minimizing and simplifying. Those things are super, super key when we're working outside. And I look forward to working with you in just a short while. And once you have a chance to see this kit in person, I'll be working with you on your own kit so that you're ready to go in the field. And when you're done, you're going to have a Yellowstone tested field kit, and you're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. All right, so thanks so much guys for joining me, and I will see you very soon. Take care.